Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this game was played in the 4th IIFL Mumbai, and this was played in 2018. So both of these players were really kids at that time. With the white pieces, we have the FIDE World Cup winner, recently awarded Grandmaster, a brilliant tactician, and really the magician of India. We have Divya Deshmukh, and with the black pieces, we have a really amazing tactical player and a really positional player as well. Scored really good here in Quant Box Chennai Masters, and also now is playing Fujairah Masters. We have Pranav Venkatesh. This game is a really great example of how these players have evolved over time, and even back then they were absolute monsters, because this game is really spectacular, and I would urge you to see this game. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Divya starts with e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. We go into the Italian game, and if you're wondering about the rating, I think Divya was somewhere around 2200, while Pranav was around 2320. So definitely not that much difference, but really this game is so beautiful here. Knight to f6, bishop, knight to g5. Now really early on trying to go for this. Recently we saw Prague also going for an opening like this against Wesley, so and Wesley was able to draw that game. So let's see what happens here. Here d5, immediately just trying to open up, trying to blockade that bishop basically. So here just e captures, knight to d4 now, and now just going for c3, pushing that knight away. Knight goes to f5. We have castles. Knight to d6, now pushing the bishop away. We have d3, not trying to push the bishop away, but I'm fine with ruining my pawn structure. You want to capture, you capture. Here bishop to e7 was played, but now just comes knight to d2, castles, and knight g to e4. So where do you trade? Do you trade the bishop? Do you trade the knight? What's going to happen here? Just knight to d7, not trading any more pieces, because here both are here for a fight and both are here to win the game. And white is unfortunately better in this position, because you have to understand those pieces in the center are very nice, while this bishop will take some time to be developed. Here knight captures on d6 was played by Divya. We have c captures, f4, and just e captures. And now just going for this knight to f3, we have g5 and just d4. Now Pranav has really opened up his king side, so there could be some ideas of queen and the bishop infiltrating. So he's gonna have to be really careful here. Rook to e8 was played by Pranav, but now just comes bishop to d3 by Divya. We have knight to f8 and just h3, just not allowing that pawn to be pushed, and not giving any more initiative to Pranav, because simply because the fact that once you allow such moves, you are ready, you're gonna have to defend all game, and I don't think that's Divya's style. She likes to attack, she likes to play aggressive, and I think that would have been really not good. So that's why the move h3, bit of a passive move, but again, sometimes you have to do that. Here knight to g6, but now just comes knight to h2. We have king to g7, bishop to d2, and now just going for this bishop to f6. King to h1 now, a very nice prophylactic move, always good before you start attacking. Here bishop to d7, but now Divya goes for it. She starts to attack, and here queen to h5, and now this is a bit dangerous, because you have to understand, once the knight moves, it's going to be very dangerous to be able to hold this position. Here queen to a5 was played. I mean, moving away from where all the action has been taking place is a little bit not good in a technical sense, simply because of the fact that maybe he was eyeing this pawn and centralizing the queen after capturing it, and he thought that Divya might not have something in this position, but he could not be more wrong, because here rook to f2, she doesn't care about those pawns. She's here to checkmate your king, and if you want to grab it, just grab it. Here rook to e7 now, just trying to double up on the e file, but here Divya goes for it. She goes for b4, asking where are you putting your queen, but there was an even better move in this position than b4. So I'm gonna ask you to pause the video, be an amazing attacker, and try to find out this beautiful move, because you have to understand your bishop and queen is already there. Second bishop is already eyeing this. Your bishop pair is amazing. Knight can jump into the game. There are also some moves you have to open up the position. So with that in mind, just have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is this beautiful h4. And h4 is such a beautiful move, because you cannot capture. If you go for g captures, I mean knight captures just simply loses because of queen captures on h7. So here, after just going for g captures, there is bishop captures on f4, and now it's very difficult. I mean, unfortunately that you're gonna have to capture. If you go for knight caps on f4, then just queen captures on f7, king to f8, and rook captures, and whatever you do, you're just not surviving this. Even you're gonna have to go back, and there are some ideas of knight jumping into the game. Maybe I just capture it, maybe I just get the knight into the game via some other files, and it's just a very difficult position to hold. I can just double up on the f file, continue to put some pressure, and yeah, you're not surviving this, whatever you do. And the unfortunate part about this is, after bishop captures, I mean, what else do you do? Bishop check is coming in. and you're going to have to move from the defense of the bishop. So your bishop is going to fall, either your bishop falls or either you get checkmated. I mean, it's your decision. But here after rook to e7, she went for b4. She was not able to spot the move, but now comes queen to c7, and here rook a to f1, now finally doubling up, and now there's immense pressure. Pranav is going to have to be very, very careful here, and Divya is on the charge. He plays h6 in this position, trying to defend everything, and trying to just keep that pawn chain intact. But now comes g3, and g3 is such a Divya move. I mean, you out of being, she doesn't care about the king at all. She doesn't care about anything in this position. She's like, I already have so much pressure here. It's time to just open up those lines and just checkmate your king. Here rook to h8 now, but now just comes g captures, and here in this position there's a very, very beautiful move. There's a very disgusting engine move basically, but it's not a natural move. So I mean, I could ask you to pause the video, but it's just very difficult to find. The move is rook to g1. The idea is you pin this, and next you just capture it, and after capturing, just queen capture, and queen infiltrates, and once the queen infiltrates, there is no hope for you. And there is such a beautiful checkmate sequence in this position as well, so I'll just show it here. Bishop to e8 if you decide to play, so that you keep everything intact. But now a really, really beautiful move in this position, because you have to understand this portion, this file has to be occupied by the rook. You cannot allow the bishop to come here and just spoil your plans. So there's a beautiful move in this position. I mean, it took me such a while to find this move as well. I mean, I was analyzing the position, I was scratching my head trying to find the best move, and then I found this, and I was like, yo, this is so amazing. Here h4 is the best move, and this is just, you're never gonna find this move. I mean, even if you're there, even if you have like 30 minutes or something, it's just very difficult to find this move. Here king to f8 if you try to run away from everything. Now comes bishop captures on f4, and now it's just a matter of seconds. You cannot do anything. Your knight is hanging, your bishop is hanging, and now whatever you do, either you just get captures and checkmated, or either you save your bishop. You cannot even go back in this position. So here if you try to go for knight captures on f4 like we discussed in the previous line, here just rook captures, and now you have to go back with the bishop. That's the only move, or seems like the only move. Here just bishop to g7, you get queen to g6. Queen to g6 is such an amazing move. I mean, just look at it. You cannot even capture this. There is a threat of checkmate, so you're gonna have to defend. Only move is rook to g8 in this position, and now comes one of the most amazing checkmating sequence I was able to find. Here just knight to g4, and now how do you defend this? I mean, there is no way you could try, and even you cannot even get the rook into the game. You cannot even push the pawn. I mean, this is this is just gone, because you cannot even defend with the rook. Queen cannot enter into the game. King is just basically boxed in. This is such a disgusting position to have. But again, I mean, it's an engine line, not really an engine line. I mean, I was able to spot it, but again, still an engine move. Hey, bishop to h8 now, and bishop to h8 with the idea that maybe what are you going to do about this queen? But in this position, you could go for a really, really brilliant move, and that move is queen captures on g8. Yes, that's right, sacrificing the queen, because here going for king captures on g8. Now there's knight to f6 check, king moves, and knight to h7 would be a beautiful, beautiful checkmate by the rook and the knight, and this is just so beautiful. That's why I wanted to show it to you. But none of this happened. None of this craziness happened in this position. Here after g caps on f4, there's bishop caps on f4, and yeah, they're just basically winning this. There is just no way you could try and do anything in this position. The double rooks are just taking care of everything here. Queen caps on c3 was played, and after bishop caps on d6, here you cannot even move the rook. Here if you try to go for rook e to e8, then just comes rook caps on f6, and you just lost a complete bishop. Yes, you can capture this, but after you capture this, rook caps on f7, and where are you hiding in this position? Rook to g8. Let's say you play rook caps on d7, and after queen to e4 check, might seem like there's some perpetual, but after queen to e3, rook to f2, and queen to e1, knight to f1, and most likely here black is getting checkmated in a few more moves. So yeah, there is nothing in this position. I mean, you cannot do anything in this position. But here, instead of going for this, queen captures on d3 was played. She sacrificed an entire bishop now, just going for this. But now just comes this rook captures on f6, and it's the same move order, but same moves but different order. And here rook h to e8 was played, but just bishop captures, rook captures, queen to f3, queen captures, rook captures, and just bishop to b5. So here Divya is up the exchange. She's up a few pawns, and I mean, in a completely winning position. Here rook to c1 was played by Divya, rook to d7, and we have just king to g1, h5, and now just going for this rook to f5. Now bishop to d3, and bishop to d3 is a very nice move by Pranav. You could go really wrong in this, but the best move in this position is just to go for this rook to f2. Rook to f2 with the idea that if you play rook caps on d5, now I have knight to f3, and now after bishop to e3, now just just if you're able to maybe just say that I'm able to trade the central pawns, maybe I could go for a draw. Just rook to c7. I am not even bothered here. If you go for bishop captures, then just comes rook captures. There is no way to save that pawn, and most likely I'm going to gobble up these pawns as well, and in a completely losing position. So here, if you try to go for rook to b5 now, just trying to save your pawns, also attack at the same time, there is just knight to e5, and knight to e5 is a really dirty move. Here, knight captures, you just play pawn captures, and if you capture, then there's rook captures, and you just completely losing. There is no hope in this position. But after bishop to d3, you hit rook to g5 was played by the way. It's not a bad move. It's the second best move in the position. But here, after king to h6, now just comes rook to g3, bishop to e4, and rook to a3. So she's trying to go for the other pawns now. And here we have bishop caps on d5, rook caps on a7, and just knight to f4, rook to c8, and yeah, your backside is just very bad here in this position, and most likely you're just getting checkmated, or worse, you're going to lose some material. Here, rook to e7 was played, rook to a3, now rook to e2, and now just going for rook to g3, and they were basically setting up this checkmating sequence. So here you're going to have to defend, but unfortunately for Divya, here this position is actually a draw. But Pranav needs to find a really one move in this position. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try and find out the only move which draws the game in this position. So have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is king to h7, and king to h7 is the only drawing move. The idea is that after you play a move like knight to f3, there's rook caps on a2, and the rook caps on a2 idea is a little bit worse in this position. The best move here, rook to b2, but you will understand why rook caps on a2 doesn't work, because the idea is knight to g5 check doesn't lead to doesn't lead to worse things that can happen in this position. Because the problem is, even this is so complicated. If you go for king to h6 in this position, you just completely lost. Knight caps on f7, and after wherever you move, you're just getting checkmated. And here, after this, if you try to go for king to g6, then there's knight to e4 check, and after going for king to f5, there's knight to c3, and this was the point. This was the point after all along, that both of these are going to get forked, and either I trade more pieces and are going to favorable endgame, or you're just worst in this position. So here, after knight to e2 check, you're gonna have to trade, and once you trade more pieces, it's just completely lost. So this was the idea. And even if you try to go for king to g7, you think that's okay, just knight to e6 check, and it's a double check. King needs to move. So here, after this, I just pick up the knight. It's completely winning. So the move that you have to find out after knight to f3 is rook to b2, because now once we go for knight to g5, king to g6, knight to e4, king to f5, knight to c3, this doesn't come with a fork. So this was the entire idea about this, and this is just so dirty when I found it. I mean, this is just really bad. No one is going to figure all of this out in a game where you have like 30 minutes on the clock. So here, after rook to g3, here knight to g6 was played, trying to stop the checkmate here, but this just doesn't work, unfortunately, for Pranav, because here, after Divya goes for rook to d8, and you're gonna have to move the bishop. Here, bishop caps on a2 was played, but knight to f3 now, and it's the same moves but in a different order. Here, rook to e3, and just king to f2, rook to b3, d5, now rook to b2 check, king to e1, rook to b1 check, king to e2, king to g7, and just d6. That pass pawn is being pushed, and there is nothing you could do in this position. Here, bishop to b3 was played. A bishop to b3 was played, and now just d7. But here, what do? Here, rook to d1 was tried, but just the king moves, attacking the bishop. Bishop moves, and now just knight to d4. You blocked the path of the rook. You cannot even capture with the bishop, and yeah, there is no hope. Bishop caps on d7 had to be played. Now you had to sacrifice your bishop, because that pass pawn was a bit too advanced. And now rook captures, king to f6, and rook to f3 check, king to e5, knight to c6 check. And once that pawn is captured, here, rook caps on d1, free rook. We have f5. Now just going for this, rook captures with the check, king moves back, rook check, king to c7, knight captures, and now just going for king to c8, rook to g7, and king to b8, and he allowed the checkmate on the board. Here, rook to e8 with a beautiful checkmate by Divya, and it just shows that here, it's not just one day's work, it's not an overnight success. I mean, these players have been playing spectacular chess along the years, and this maybe was one of the games which shows the glimpses of greatness of Divya Deshmukh, how she's playing like Judith Polgar, playing aggressive chess, how she's playing like Tal, how she's playing like Morphy, how she's playing like Capablanca, and she's destined for greatness. Definitely, she's gonna go on to candidates, maybe even crush everyone, and definitely she's in the line for getting the World Chess Championship in the women's title, and maybe somewhere along the line, maybe she can compete in the Open title as well and get a really good record. So all we can hope here is she does all of that and makes India proud, and it would be really amazing to get a women's title holder here in India, and it would be absolutely an amazing honor. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned, stay updated, because a lot of these games get lost in the mix. So just try to be there, and yeah, I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.